The New York Times said that this exposed the deep divide amongst conservatives, which I don't know if that's a hit, right? Like, good that we can get together and vote on something, but at the same time, that's kind of the whole point of conservatism. You have disagreements, and you're allowed to have disagreements, and we sort it out together, and we eventually pass the big, beautiful bill and put it on President Trump's desk. The left doesn't have anything. It's lockstep all the time, and you can't deviate at all, and if you do, you're a bigot, racist, fascist, whatever. But conservatives have disagreements. What are your thoughts there on just the broad scopes of conservatives being able to talk things out, hash things out in a reasonable way, and eventually come to an agreement on something?
Well, to me, okay, look, you're talking to somebody who thinks it's really healthy for people to disagree and to articulate those disagreements. And I think a second ago, you might have even used the word civilly or something like that. Look, I don't even think we need to worry that much about being civil. Like, politics is messy. It's ugly, and look, it's not a bad thing for people to be really passionate about their positions and to feel very, very strongly. I mean, we're grown people, and look, no one survives in politics without a thick skin. Okay, so let's get rid of this idea that, we can't get too impassioned or inflamed, or we can't raise our voices, or we can't, I personally think and I've sat back. Let me tell you, if we switch gears just for a second, we talked about, say, Israel, Palestine, and, what just happened with us striking Iran, right? Mm-hmm. There was a lot of divide within the conservative movement about what the right thing to do there was. It's an incredibly complicated issue. I took a step back and I listened to people on both sides of the argument who I respect immensely, who had very impassioned, felt very, very strongly about what they were saying on diametrically opposite sides. And I learned a lot by just watching those interactions take place. I don't think it's a bad thing for us to argue and disagree. And as far as what the New York Times is pushing and their whole narrative on all this, it's an interesting thing. I mean, there have been several splits. Like, even if we were just to say the MAGA movement, not just the Republican Party at large, but even within MAGA, there have been a number of different splits and arguments that have happened over the last 3 or 4 months. And it's an interesting take that the liberal media is giving recently, because if you remember, for years, they said we were in a cult. They said that we were all just they said that we were all just a bunch of mindless drones who walk in lockstep and follow the party narrative and all this stuff. And now all they're reporting on is, oh, look at all these people with all their own opinions and they're arguing with each other. It's like, yeah, that's what we are. We're intelligent people who don't all agree. Most of us are pretty strong-willed people. That's why we've survived in politics for years, because you have to be to survive. And it's not a bad thing to disagree. And in fact, you can learn a lot. I just did recently by staying out of some of these arguments and just listening.
That's a great point. Yeah, are we in a cult, or do we disagree on everything? You can't be both, because it just doesn't pan out that way.